I figured before we start, I'll just talk a little bit about North Carolina. Obviously a top 10, a top 11 team, certainly a top 10 talent. If you look at their roster and you watch their tape close, I know they've only played one game, but if you look at who they have and the players back and what they've already put on tape, they're a top 10 team, if not more. Obviously, Coach Brown, as a younger coach, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Brown and what he's done. The guy I've looked up to when he was at Texas, and then certainly, I watched him when he was doing TV. So it's an honor for me to have the opportunity to go and coach against him. I know Coach Bateman and Coach Thigpen on defense as their coordinators do a really good job. They have a great scheme. Coach Bateman actually was my head coach my senior year in college, and then actually I coached the wide receivers for him in the spring. Actually almost stayed and coached there, but I chose to go to WPI. He's had a lot of success. He did an unbelievable job at Army. I've kept in touch with him. I have a ton of respect for him. Coach Longo on offense, same deal. If you look at his resume, what's cool about that is he's climbed his way up in the coaching business. Coached Division III football and worked his way up. Really knows football. Has succeeded everywhere he's been. And then obviously on special teams as Coach DeWitt, they do a really good job. I know he was at Nebraska. Really good coaching staff, really good talent. O-line is enormous. A bunch of 6'7" guys who can move. They got two really good backs in 8 and 25. Very patient, very good runners. 25 is a big kid. Wide receivers can make plays down the field, 5'2", and they have a couple other ones. Might be some of the most talented guys in the ACC. And then the quarterback, really good football player. Gets the ball out of his hand. He's thick, he's strong, he makes the right reads, and he's young, and he's only going to get better. So offensively, they got to be one of the most talented teams in the ACC, if not the entire country. And then defensively, they're big up front. The nose is a really good player, really strong player. Their linebackers are fast. I think they have a corner who eventually will be a top pick. I know one of their safeties was hurt. I'm sure they'll have a really good backup. And their other safety makes a ton of plays also. So again, this would be a great challenge for our team. Another opponent we respect. Our guys are excited for it. They're excited to get a chance to get better and play another football game. But I figured I'd just kind of start off. Now you guys can ask me some questions.
We'll go to Rich.
Hi, Jeff. You kind of touched on it. I was going to ask you about Mack Brown. It just doesn't look like a hole in that resume.
No, I mean, he's got to be one of the best college coaches of all time. And the cool part is he's such a good ambassador for football. When we sit in on those Zoom calls and, as a new coach, I kind of keep my mouth shut and watch and listen. And if they ask me a question, I certainly answer or give my opinion if they ask me. But, just seeing what he's brought to college football and how much he cares about the game and loves the game and wants to protect the game, I just have so much respect for him. And, look at his career, Rich. You're right. He's done an incredible job everywhere he's been.
I just followed. Do you see a bit of him in the North Carolina program?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I see a lot of talent. They recruited well. The staff before recruited well. They got a really good roster. And they play really hard for Coach Brown, and they execute well, and they play with good fundamentals and techniques. So it's everything you would expect from him.
We'll go to Dan.
You're on mute, Dan. Come on, man. It's like week 3.
I just said earlier, too, that this was going to happen to me, that the over-under was, it was high on me messing up mute. But when you're coaching against a guy like Mack Brown, too, how has he changed from, what you maybe knew about him with other personnel to where he is now in terms of how he's changed with his style, or what you knew about him and how he approached the game when you were playing or when you were starting out as a coach, and what you'd heard about him versus now seeing it on film?
Well, I'm sure the game's evolved, right? So, now everything's spread out, the ball's in the air, and the offense and defense are totally different. But you see a well-coached team. You see guys that play really hard, and you see a very disciplined football team. And I'm sure that's how it's always been for him and will continue to be. I'm sure he's very demanding, and I'm sure the players and coaches all have a ton of respect for him, just like we do.
We'll go back to Rich.
We're kind of looking at what Phil did in the 2-minute drill. I was just curious, from a defensive perspective, How do you defend against the 2-minute drill when the other guy has the ball and you have to, protect a 3-point lead?
Yeah, it's hard, Rich. And that's a good question. And, in the National Football League, just about every game comes down to 2 minutes. And it's constantly a challenge in your head. There's a fine line being too aggressive and giving up the big play, but then being too soft and letting the team dink and dunk and go right down the field. So I always think it's good to have a little bit of both, have the ability to bring pressure and bump people, and then have the ability to drop, whether you drop 8, whether you play softer zones. But that's tough, Rich. I mean, 2-minute drills on defense, you got to decide. You want to go after them and try to win it, or you want to try to make them earn it. And I thought our offensive staff and the players, they earned it because they took what they were given and they made them pay for it.
Just a quick
Go to
follow-on.
Julian.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rich, with your call.
Oh, good. I was just what you did with McBride on their final with that 3 and out. Were you kind of in prevent for 2 plays and then sent the Army on that sack that got the 3 and out?
No prevent. We were playing our base defense, and I believe we just sent a 5-man pressure on the last one, and made a nice play. But really good call by Tim. Again, really good mixture from him of base defense, pressure, and he picked a great call at the right time, and our players executed it.
We'll go to Julian.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey,
So, what, if anything, can you learn in 2 weeks after winning 2 games in 2 very different circumstances? You know what I mean? Whether it's going on the road to get one, coming back here, the preparation, and then how you want it,
Yeah, I think you keep talking about the process and how it starts on a Sunday after the game. You start working and what a Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday and Friday need to look like. It's interesting. All our games have been at different times, and it looks like it's going to continue to be that way. So every Friday night's a little bit different. Every Saturday's been a little bit different. The first week we wake up and we play. The second week we kind of have a lull in the day. We meet, we walk through, we have a little extra time, and then we go play. Well, now we got a 3:30 game, so it's a little different. Next week we got a 4 o'clock game, so it's a little bit different. Who knows? Maybe we'll play at 8, 9, 10. It'd be nice if we could kind of get on a schedule, but that's college football, right? You learn that we need to be more consistent. If you look back to the Duke game, there were times we looked really good, and then there were times we made mistakes. And it's the same thing in the Texas State game. There were times we looked really good, and then there were drives where we just had lapses and we weren't consistent. We didn't do our job, and we didn't look that good. And right now, guys, we can't afford to have those lapses and to make the mistakes. We can't. If we're going to win football games, especially against a top 10 opponent like we're going to play, we need to be consistent. And it starts with practice, and it ultimately starts with me. So I need to find a way to make us play more consistent for 4 quarters, and I'm working on it. You can be sure of that.
As a quick follow, I'm surprised I didn't ask it. How do you think the guys kind of responded, especially the way the game ended up? As it played out in the second half, there was no crowd, and they did have to feed on each other, and find some way to kind of pull it out. And it didn't take much. They were in a close game. They responded to it. But in the environment, how do you think they kind of handled it? Because you're going to be home for a while.
Yeah, I think they did an incredible job. Players, they didn't flinch. No one pointed a finger. It wasn't offense versus defense versus special teams. It was just keep fighting and keep doing your job and keep fighting and doing your job. And don't stop playing until they blow the whistle. And don't stop bringing your energy until they blow the whistle. And we'll look up at the scoreboard at the end, and whatever it is, what it is. And that's how our players played. It's interesting. I think once the game starts, you put on your headsets or you put on your helmet and you buckle your chin strap, I don't even think you realize that the crowd's not there. It's when you take it off and you walk off and you look around that it kind of hits you again. And that's the mindset that we have to have.
We'll go to Kevin.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, Kevin. Thanks.
Good. So obviously, we've talked at length about how hard the program has worked to stay safe and do things the right way. I'm just curious if you had seen or heard or had any thoughts about some of the criticism that the guys received for celebrating in the locker room the other night after such a big moment.
Yeah, that's on me, Kevin. That's not on the players. These kids have done an unbelievable job. since June. 3,500 straight tests. We haven't had a positive, knock on wood. They've done everything they've asked. Usually, this doesn't leave me until I come in here. This doesn't leave me. I got about each pocket full. And I had a lapse in time, and it's on me. And, I got caught up in the moment. It was an emotional game, and I got back in the locker room, and I should have had my mask on, and I should have had the players have their masks on. And as safe as we feel, and we just got tested and we all felt safe, and, I can't do that. And I'll learn from it, and I'll take responsibility for it.
We'll go to Trevor.
Different kind of question, Jeff, but just curious, for a game like Texas State where you're the big favorite, and then UNC where you're the big underdog, obviously your approach day by day is pretty similar, but in terms of the message pregame or things like that, do you change what you say at all, or do you just approach it like they're exactly the same game?
I'm going to approach it the same way. I know this is a big challenge with a great team, and our players know it, but I'm not going to make it about the opponent this year. We have to get better. And I said the same thing to you guys going into that Texas State game. I respect every opponent we play, and I respected that team. They're a good team. We need to focus on ourselves and get better. And that's how we have to approach it. But our players understand what's ahead, and so does our staff. But I as the head coach, I need to focus on our football team right now.
We'll take two more. First with Julian.
Just one and a quick one. Any follow or status updates for Dion? Or?
No, we're still waiting. We're still waiting to see. We're hoping that he's going to be okay. Hopefully we'll have more information to you, but we're hopeful that he'll have a chance to play for us.
Cool. And then I'm just curious, how do you get two guys who just got here? How long have they been since the start of the month? Luke and Max. How do you get them ready and get them on the field? And are they sort of already ready because they've had so much game experience already? How do you make sure that when they get there, they're ready to play and they play well?
No, I think what you saw Max, he barely practiced, so we couldn't really use him that much. So it's a credit to Coach Vince for getting him ready in a short period of time, and we got to continue to do that, both with Coach Matus and the strength and conditioning, and the same for Luke. Those guys haven't went through a training camp, so they're rusty, and they need to just continue to play football. We need to continue to have their back and let them go out there and let it rip. But yeah, they haven't played very much football, Julian.
We'll wrap things up with Dan.
Coach Sam Howell, at quarterback, 3,600 yards last year, and I know that people were talking about him like he's the heir to Trevor Lawrence in the conference in terms of number one quarterback. First, what does he do? Is it everything? Is it his player profile? And second, how do you defend against that, knowing that that's a guy who's probably going to be able to do some pretty magnificent things?
Well, he gets rid of the ball really well. He's got a good release, a quick release. He's got a really strong arm. He's faster than people think he is. He's tough. He plays in such good command of their offense, just controlling it. Keeps his composure. He can make all the plays, and I think he's a sophomore, right? So he's got time. He'll develop. He'll get better. We just got to play good defense, right? We got to rush the passer. We got to give him some different looks. We got to play tight coverage. We need to do our job every single play and just make him earn it. He's going to have his plays. We just need to make him earn every single one of them, and that's defense. If our defense can go out and force a team to drive the ball and earn every single yard they get, then we're doing a good job. Just don't want to give them any free ones.
Great, Jeff. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good day.